All right. Welcome, everyone, to Frank Analysis. I'm your host, Franco. I am pleased to be joined here by current members and volunteers of the Movement for a People's Party. It's great to have these people on here to get their perspective about what's going on with Movement for a People's Party. I've had on ex-volunteers for panel discussions and for individual interviews as well to get a perspective from them about the injustices that they felt from Movement for a People's Party and about the petition that these people signed. I reached out to leadership and I still have not heard back. I made a video about how I haven't heard back from them. It's now been about 4 to 3 weeks since I sent them an invitation to come on the show. But thankfully, I do have current members here today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the two individuals that are joining me today, Jamin and Christian. Thank you very much for being here. Jamin, you can go ahead and it's Jamin, right? Jamin, you can go ahead and introduce yourself. Hey, sorry, Christian. So they didn't hear Jamin's introduction. So go ahead and
Okay.
yeah. But all right. So he's getting himself sorted. So go ahead and just introduce yourself again, Christian, and then I'll ask Jamin to do the same.
Okay. If hopefully now, the I specifically work with Oregon's People's Party as the state facilitator, and we formerly known as the coordinator, state coordinator. And we used to have two other coordinators, and unfortunately, due to the petition issue, they have both been they more or less left. I also do the bylaws facilitating as well as the other stuff, like just kind of the organizing background stuff, and get a lot of help from our team itself. And then also a homeless advocate, as I actually live in a van, and just kind of moved on up through help from the nonprofit that I've been helping with this year.
Okay, and then go ahead, Jamin, and reintroduce yourself. They didn't hear you the first time. Sorry about that.
No worries. So my name is Jamin Mason. I am the co-state coordinator along with Mark Mixon of the Washington People's Party. I'm also the facilitator for the Black Voters Circle that was previously held by Miko. And I pale in comparison to her, but I'm here in MPP as the BVC facilitator because our Black voices need to be heard within MPP.
All right, sounds good. So, what motivated you guys to first join MPP?
I will jump in and immediately say the horizontal structure. That's what I keyed in on. That's what I was like, finally, we have something for the people where you have a bottom up scenario. I want to be there. And I want to be in this movement that I feel is going to be the next big thing that's going to take down Democrats, Republicans, and make it a non-one-way system.
Okay, go ahead, Christian.
The reason I joined was the historical prevalence of what originally was the People's Party, as well as the idea that I've worked with the Democratic Party here, and I have always been slightly ostracized by the party, and it seemed to be that no matter how hard I tried to help just give out an opinion or make a change, I was continuously rejected by our older members. And being the youngest, it seems always in a meeting, no matter even in the People's Party so far, it is extremely frustrating sometimes when, at least in the Democratic Party, they just treat you like a kid. They don't take you at all at like just saying, hey, maybe we should be paying attention to maybe just not just Democrats, now voters, looking at people and building a real large coalition of people. And when I heard about it before the convention, during a whole uh, meeting that was called "Should We Stay or Should We Go?" talking to PDPR's leader Larry Taylor and Nick Brana. They both discussed where they should be going, and Nick impressed me with his understanding of the historical prevalence that was originally the People's Party itself.
Okay. So are you guys currently happy with moving for a People's Party? You guys are both still members. So go ahead, Jim, and you can explain first.
I am. Nothing's perfect.
Okay.
This is a baby organization. Like I said, the Black Voter Circle, like I told you earlier, Franco, I am still very good friends with many of them. Renee, Miko, Joy, Bree. Like I could name pretty much all of them. I consider myself an ally, a friend. I can't agree with the way they were asked to leave or kind of forced out in a way. I can't agree with that just because I am a progressive and I believe everyone deserves a chance to be heard as well as be seen on all levels. I think that's what a horizontal structure is about, and originally that's what I signed on to do. I definitely feel that, like I said before, that was wrong, but I also feel that there is way more potential here than there's more good than there is bad. And with, like I said, everything new is going to have hiccups. It's going to have situations where people don't like. We work through that as a team, conquer that, and move forward in a positive direction. So that's why I'm still here. I'm very happy with, like I said, we're about to incorporate in Washington State. There are no, you don't have to get signatures. You don't have to do any of that thing. So hopefully, Lord willing, hopefully within the next month, will be incorporated through as the Washington People's Party.
Okay. Go ahead, Christian. You can let us know if you're currently happy with the way MPP is.
So I would say it's a mixed ball of feelings. I feel that the state membership is an extremely productive and extremely amazing group of people that unfortunately we lost most of our members and only 2 of us really remained out of the after the aftermath of the petition, not just because of the petition but the aftermath of that, which caused a lot of issues that more or less spread like fire throughout the whole organization. And the leadership has definitely changed in a lot of different ways that I honestly wasn't sure I was going to be okay with them at first. I really didn't feel trusting of them at first. I had a lot of reserved feelings, honestly. And I have gained more confidence, especially within those last few weeks, that they are showing a different perspective. And the changes I'm seeing is a lot better. It took a while. I mean, I know this how to make a structure of a party, working with bylaws, and creating that takes a long time. And ensuring that we have a healthy organization that isn't going to be derailed, because us leftists tend to infight quite a bit, unfortunately, that we tend to have issues that are not just like the issues with the petition. And because of that, I have felt a lot of times a lot better with the national org. I wish that they would stop with certain members with accusations that have been coming out, and if they do have accusations, just like actually give out the evidence to that, because it doesn't help the situation. But I do really appreciate the positive change that has been created. I am looking forward to hopefully that continuing, and I think that is due to the petition itself.
Okay, so you both of you guys were petition signers, right? So the ex-volunteers who I had on were saying that there wasn't much of a big response from the leadership when they had that. It was like an online call with all of them, right? Were you guys there for that? And did you feel like the leadership was actually listening and addressing the concerns that were described in the petition?
I I I believe that they were. I believe that there could have been a lot more, but that's where I kind of go back to nothing's perfect. I seen them make positive changes and make positive positive moves forward. That was the reason why I stayed. Like I said, it's just like the Biden thing right now. Like, it's not good enough. It's not what we want, but hey, it'll do, and we see them progressing. So it's better than what we have.
Okay, and go ahead, Christian.
Hopefully my internet doesn't slow down too bad, because the rural internet isn't always the best. But specifically, if I remember the question correctly, I was not able to attend that meeting after what happened because I was kicked out. I had no way to know when the meeting fully was. I was talking with another Oregon representative who is more connected with the national org, and she more or less asked why I was out and advocated for me when no one else was going to at that time. And that is the only reason why I got an interview to get back in. And that was a very hard situation to kind of go through. Months and months of work, and it was just gone. And it isn't something that I take very cautiously. And it caused a lot of paranoia and sadness and anger at what happened and the injustice of it. And the issue I always had was the accountability of just saying, like, yeah, we screwed up on that decision of kicking everybody out when there was a issue that I could understand they needed to take precautions. But just like the Democratic Party, you can't just overrule and just make your own decisions and push everybody out. And they admitted to that issue, but they never publicly admitted to it. And that is something that I think takes time. I just wish that, I am here to take accountability for my own actions, in the sense of I made a lot of mistakes during this time. And I hope other people come out and, instead of looking at who did what and why we did it, look at yourself and you take accountability for what you did. I reacted in a lot of behaviors that I normally wouldn't have, and it's because of the stress that this all caused. And a lot of it my doing, and I can only really talk about that itself.
Okay, so Kristen, you expressed that you made some mistakes while you were a volunteer within MPP. What mistakes would you say you committed?
So I allowed my personal hype. So I was feeding into a lot of the energy that was going on. At first, we created a signal chat. We discussed things, and things were kind of getting a little defensive. And I was trying to help bridge those gaps. And by the second meeting, I watched myself, and that is where I actually told one of the members, pretty much the leadership, "Fuck you," and it caused a whole fiasco. And I was angry. I watched myself throughout that whole video, and I was really agitated. I really think that I allowed the fear and paranoia of something that, like, the agitation, I guess, from what I call PTSD from, like, the Bernie or Tulsi supporters would feel, with just being gaslit and just feeling like you're not being heard and then just screwed over. And I was not really getting out of that mindset. And I wasn't thinking about it in perspective of how are they going to be taking this. And I talked specifically with Nick and after our first meeting, because I realized he may not have understood our intentions. And I figured, having a discussion with him and honestly breaking something that I was really not comfortable with, which was that we were not supposed to really speak with them at first. Just as a show of solidarity that we would band together. I wanted to try to bridge that gap so that he could understand us and come at a much more healthy perspective when coming and speaking with us. And I also wanted him to know that, like, we needed to work on this fast, because the longer this lasts, the more angry people are getting. Mm-hmm. And I allowed my fear and paranoia to honestly help facilitate a bully mentality in Oregon. I was told I could not bring certain members in to leadership. I couldn't bring members in that were from national, that were actually Oregon people. And a very good friend of mine, I wouldn't let her in, or I'd tell her there wasn't meetings. And I felt extremely terrible about that. And it was because everybody was telling me I had to. And I, as a leader, I felt like I couldn't just, like, go against what everybody was asking. But at the same time, I didn't like what was happening. And at one point, I said, no, I can't do this anymore. And that caused my text messages to be all released out of context by an Oregon representative, trying to smear me, and rightfully so in some ways, honestly. And I'm really glad that they came out in the end, because it helped kind of relieve that pressure. I really messed up in a lot of ways and fed into a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have. And that is not only due to the anxiety from the national org, but it was also due to the pressure I was feeling from people in the petition within my state. And I loved those people. I love my friends. And, like, this was a hard thing to have to swallow. To have to see that, like, somebody could be so sweet to you one day, and the next day they're trying to ruin your whole career of, like, being a person that's activist, and now my word is no good. And that was a hard thing to kind of take in consideration, but it helped me feel like this radical honesty of just being truthful at that point. And so that night I came out and I just said everything. And luckily my regional coordinator was able to help facilitate that conversation and keep everybody in a understanding that my intent wasn't to hurt anybody. I was just trying to keep protecting this org. I was trying to protect Oregon, really. Honestly, at that point, I didn't really care about the national. I just wanted Oregon to be able to be safe and able to continue its work.
I appreciate that, man. And I'm sure that a lot of people listening may appreciate your honesty as well. It takes a lot to admit one's own faults. And that's really great of you to do that, man. Jamin, do you have any like mistakes that you would like to discuss and clear up and put it out there here today?
I'm kind of, I have been saved by people surrounding me. Our regional coordinator, Marvin, kind of pulled me back. My state coordinator, my co-coordinator, state coordinator, Mark Mixon, he pulled me back and kind of saved me before I made any blunders, or there was one point when I was going to throw up my hands and just quit, but they told me, hey, you said you're here for your daughter, and knowing that Washington State, and knowing that rules can change, laws can change, we can be that change by being the change we want to see. But like I said, that's my main why is my 16-year-old daughter and what she has to look forward to in the future. And I believe being here as a Washington People's Party um, coordinator, I believe that we are going to make changes.
Mm.
And that's why I'm here for Washington State and changing things in a positive way. So, luckily, to answer your question, luckily, uh, key figures in my life pulled me back and reined me in and said, hey, think of the bigger picture. Think of the Black community. Don't think about Jamin's feeling as a Black man. So,
Oh, sounds good. Do you guys think that there's any way that these people that were forced out, people like Renee Johnston, people like Camila Harris, and Joe Charest, Steve Coleman, is there any way that these people can be brought back? Should it be on MPP's responsibility to reach back out to them and say, "Hey, we made a mistake. We're really sorry. We'll offer you back a position." Is there anything that can be done to make amends with those people that were forced out?
I hope so. I really do. Like I said, Renee, Camilla, I honestly do. They hope. I mean, they're amazing people. The potential that we had with them. I mean, it's still amazing, but it was, dude. They are amazing lights for this progressive movement and this stand for the Black community and what we deserve. I like I said, I truly hope. I'm not the national coordinator. I don't have that power to bring them back, or they would have never left in the first place. But like I said, I hope we can make amends. It would, in my opinion, it would be more up to them if they could get past what, the wrongs that had been done to them. But I truly do hope one day those amazing women can come back. Joe Cherie as well, man. I've forgot about Joe, and she's amazing as well. And I just think it's sad if there were ill intentions on their end. I'm sure they were kind of missteps, kind of like what Christian just said, and they would take them back if they could, if they have the opportunity. But like I said, they are amazing women, every single one that you've named. And I believe they deserve a second chance. I really do. But pretty much if they'll take that second chance is on them.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Christian? Should it be on MPP leadership to reach back out to these people that were forced out?
In my personal perspective, I feel that in the end, they definitely will have to speak with people. I mean, that is going to be something that is up to them and is going to take a lot of self reflecting and also just understanding that people make mistakes like they obviously had to do with me. And sometimes, and I want to be very honest and clear, the petition wasn't a mistake. That wasn't the issue. To me, it was how we reacted after the petition. That was my biggest issue. The reactions that happened after were like the intent was amazing. We had a beautiful petition. In my opinion, I rewatched that and I can just see we were really well coordinated. We really cared and we really were pushing. We just want to help. The issue is that I don't know if it's internet, if it's this toxic, like this PTSD effect. We were not always reactive in the best way. I've never felt, and a lot of people never felt they took accountability. So when it became so toxic that they were now arguing back and forth and plotting against each other. And I don't really know that. I shouldn't say that fully, but I should say that the whole idea that we looked past each other's humanity and instead looked at each other's flaws and wanted to only look at that will be what we need to actually fix. And that's why I say self-reflection is the best option in this. and to kind of just be honest with what happened. And the people you spoke with, honestly, are some of my favorite people. I love I love Camilla, and I really respect Joe a lot, and Renee. There there are very good people, and we lost a lot of amazing activists. And I mean, in our state, we lost a lot of amazing activists, and it hurts us, and we need people like that. And I think it would really behoove them, especially certain activists who were pushed out and just ignored, to actually have that discussion, just for common sake and decency of saying like, hey, we understood this is an issue and that we did this in the wrong way, as well as the petitioners who were plotting in the Discord. That wasn't that I was taken aback. I found it by accident, and I really, I defended everybody for so long, and felt kind of betrayed. And I maybe misunderstood it, and that is something that I am open to. But from what I understood and read, it became not just about like talking about the petition. It talked a little bit more, and I couldn't really reach out to anybody. I was blocked the next day on Discord, and so I couldn't really even talk to see what was going on. And that's kind of that attitude that I was getting from both sides, and I didn't know how to take it. I guess I just hope we are all able to work together at some point. Even if it's from different parties, we believe in the same idea, and we should be looking towards achieving those goals.
Yeah, I do get a strong sense of genuineness and sincerity from the both of you. Like, you really care about, fixing the situation that's happening right now with MPP. You guys have a lot of hope in MPP. However, I get a sense of incompetence from a lot of people who are in positions of leadership. People like Nick Brana, who sugarcoat a lot about what's actually happening and who run away from interviews. Like, when I reached out to him, he left me on scene and he did not want to come on this show. Annalise Garcia also, she refused to come on this show, and she also blocked me. What are your thoughts on these people? Do you think that they still deserve a place within MPP leadership, or do you think that they should be replaced by more genuine people?
I would say, this is my standpoint. It's not really my position to say whether I don't think anyone should be taken out of any leadership role unless their constituents or people under them, in the hierarchical way of thinking, vote them out. I think it should be a person, a feeling that the team togetherness makes, a move that they make together. But me personally, I can't really, the platform they have gave us and the eyes and ears we can affect because of that platform. I can't really say that, like I said, people make mistakes, and I believe that Nick and the NC's main agenda and what they started is amazing, and you can't take anything away from that. But at the same time, you can't take anything away from kind of stepping on people's feelings, thoughts, creativity, either. So I wouldn't say that. I don't know the other lady that you mentioned, Franco. I have no idea who that is. I know that the interactions that I've had with Nick, except the petition, have all been positive. He's been very helpful. When I was the only person in Washington State trying to yell at Pramila Jayapal, he was right there, wherever they're from, or wherever he's from. I forgot exactly where he comes from, but helping me out, sending me $50, money to replace the money that I spent out of pocket. Like I can't say that that he's ingenuous or I think everyone makes mistakes, and I think he made a misstep.
Okay.
That would be my opinion. Yeah.
What do you think, Christian?
I see everybody in the chat, and I find it interesting that it should be an issue if whether or not we feel a leadership should be changed over at some point, and that it is confrontational to talk about that. I really think, honestly, that leadership should always be interchanged out at some point. And specifically with our leadership now, I feel like there is a lack of fully like they. I really don't think that they understood the amount of people that would just jump in, and that is a big issue, because there was not the infrastructure to facilitate all of these people, and then you have all these activists ready to help, and no way to do anything, and so we're being told to just go outside and do like the normal stuff you would do. Well, we joined this party to do something to make that change. And like with me specifically, we had not a lot of like, I have background in party, but none of the other members did. And so me by myself, it was difficult to kind of try to explain things in that way. And I did have a little bit of like hesitation, because I don't fully think everybody, even in leadership, fully had that. But then at the same time, do we need educated people always running everything? I really don't think we do. I think sometimes we need people to learn as they go, and I feel like this is what is happening. I don't think that there was ill intent in the sense of I am going to do this to hurt them. But I think that it's a reflective reaction to protect your own, a lot of people, when they make something like this, it's their baby, and you are now threatening it in my mind, and I'm trying to direct you into the right direction. And I think they didn't realize that they're not supposed to direct us, that we as a state get to help create the direction this party goes. And we all do. It's a diverse country with a lot of different goals and perspectives, but we all have the same like 4 main goals if you looked at any poll. And that's where we should have been focusing, but we needed that infrastructure to focus. And that's kind of where I feel with the leadership, with Nick, with all of them, they're really good people when you talk with them, but they did make dumb mistakes, and so did I, and so did a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's all about like what is going to actually help us move forward. And I don't know if that's new leadership. I really don't know that. All I know is that I need to keep seeing this change that's happening, the good change, and I'll be satisfied. And I'm hoping at the convention when we vote, I mean, I wasn't elected at first. I just was recently elected in. This is not no one was really elected in at the beginning, and it was because there was nobody to elect us in. There wasn't a structure put in place. That was my biggest issue, is like, how are we supposed to vote? What are we supposed to do during the votes? How is this going to be counted? None of it was created yet. And so we had to go from the very ground up. And that is grassroots. But it doesn't always seem that way when you start. I was uncomfortable putting in a resume from my position. That didn't make sense to me, and I would tell everybody whenever I start a meeting that at the state level, I am not an elected person. So luckily at some point you can elect me out, and I'm okay with that. Like, that's how this is supposed to work. I'm just privileged to be able to help facilitate the introduction to this to the state.
Yeah,
Well said.
definitely when it comes to starting a new party, it is brave. And the only time that I have interviewed Nick, which was on the ground when we were at the Forced to Vote protest, I let him know, I was like, hey, it was really brave of you to start this, because a lot of people are hoping for a third party that's going to unite people from all sides so that we can all agree and take down the duopoly that we have, which is really a monopoly because they're represented by the same imperialists, the same capitalists, the same multinationals. However, when I said that he wasn't genuine, it's with the way that he's minimizing the wrongdoings that were done on some of the ex-volunteers, and how him and people like Annalise, which I'm surprised that you guys don't know who she is when she's out here in interviews trying to represent the entire party. He's saying that these people are infiltrators, like that they were there from the start trying to sabotage the party. However, I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that there's any infiltrators in there. Could there be? There could be. There's a lot. There's been infiltration in the past in a lot of leftist organizations. However, for him to call people like Renee or Joe Charest or some of these other ex-volunteers, to call them infiltrators, it comes off disingenuous to me, and comes off as them trying to hide some of their mistakes. He may as well be a nice person, but when he's put in a position in which he's trying to start a third party, some of that responsibility can become overwhelming. And how you guys are indicating, it can lead to people making mistakes. So that I just wanted to clarify that and hear what your thoughts are on what I just said.
I totally agree with what you just said, and like I said, I saw and have seen the good in Nick. Everyone makes mistakes, so I'm gonna say that the platform that we have because of that here in Washington State is monumental. Like I said, we're working with Whole Washington on Friday. And that's why I'm here, to help my daughter. So like, I appreciate Nick doing that. But that doesn't mean the man's perfect either. And so, and by, like I said, I signed that petition because I feel in a genuine way that there were things that are wrong. Just like anything that's just starting out, you're going to have problems. Yeah. But Joe, Cherie, Renee, Camilla, even though she's a hothead and will tell you how she feels, which I agree with as well. You can't. They are anything but infiltrators. They're trying to help our people, all people. So that would be but well said too.
I personally, after my explosion from the second meeting, I was reprimanded by the whole petition group, except for my state, which had my back at that moment. Everybody was very upset because I said swear words. And I felt like I was not crazy for feeling that way, as she was telling most everybody to be quiet and shut up. And I instinctively, as somebody who is representing these people, I felt that was extremely inappropriate, and so I focused on my state. I stayed away from everything else for quite a while. I refused to go to any of the national meetings. I focused on what we could do. I did notice, though, that we really weren't doing anything. We were mostly upset and still grieving from the process that was happening. And we never really got anything done. As a person who was at the very first state coordinators meeting with our leader at the time, Jerry, it was very, it was extremely satisfying to actually have to say something. Everybody, when you ask how you feel, your automatic response is being nice and saying like, hey, I'm doing great. Like, but I wasn't feeling great at that time. I really was feeling worried. And a lot of people that I was talking to who were elders, who knew third parties, who worked on making the Pacific Green Party, they were saying, why is there no bylaws? And I really was like, that is true. I really didn't understand it. And
he probably had some connection issues. But yeah, it's all right.
I had more or less just kind of I was holding it in for a while, and then my friend and Jamin's friend, Sandy,
Yeah.
kind of like broke down crying and was really worried about us and all of us in legal issues that could be going on with going out and doing activist work on behalf of the People's Party. That just, it wasn't there yet. And not too long after she left, um, and I spoke a lot with her to try to kind of figure out where my life was going to go from that end. And I isolated myself. I got super paranoid, not trusting anybody. The rest of the Oregon state was fairly paranoid. And it was something that I don't think I've ever fully experienced before, of feeling like betrayed like that. You know, it's one thing when Democrats will maybe, will stab you with a knife in the back. That's a normal thing. Your friend, or what you feel like you could believe in such a strong way, that is a harder thing to take. And I don't think that anybody realizes the amount of pain that someone will have to go through to kind of compensate for something so important to you, just being gone. And I really think that it was a mistake to push out these activists like Joe. I mean, that really, I watched it happen. I was watching that night, and I knew it was going to happen. I could see it.
I appreciate the honesty, man. And the people in the chat are also saying like that you're being real, you're being honest. And it really shows that you and Jamin really care about this party, and you really care about these people. You guys really want this to succeed. I just think that there needs to be different people in charge who understand how to do their jobs better in those positions. For example, Nick Brana, from what it sounds like with Jamin and with yourself, it sounds like he is a good person. He is a nice person. It's just that with the position that he has, it may not be the right position for him. Maybe his best position is in outreach, in reaching out to people like Jimmy Dore and Graham Elwood. Like, it's shown that he's very successful at building those connections and advertising MPP in that way. However, I think that a better leader would be more in touch with activists, would be more understanding of how to deal with people, so that there isn't problems like that. Like, they should be like, I don't know, like a strong father figure of the movement, if you know what I mean, or a strong mother figure. But the sense that I get, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, is that he's overwhelmed with the responsibilities that he has, and he doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't want to admit that there's disorganization happening, because he wants his party to succeed, but he doesn't want people to know that there's disorganization. The best thing to do is to just admit the problems that are happening. Just admit that there were problems, that you made mistakes, and people will respect you. And you can be honest and say, hey, I thought I could do this, but this position I'm in, this role that I have, is just too much for me. I think that a new leader should be elected. Because that's the sense that I get from him. Like, if you're going to be a strong leader, you have to be willing to put up with the pressure and the heat that you'll get from people that are suspecting you or questioning your movement. And you should be fearless enough to face those people and be honest with them. Like, otherwise, if you're running away, it seems like you're trying to hide something, and then people have less trust in your organization. So that would be my message to Nick. Like, don't be afraid to admit your faults. Like, you have brave people here like Christian and Jamin, who just came on and admitted their faults and admitted here that they see you as a good person. But it's just that they're like, when it comes to party politics, problems like this can happen and things can get messy, especially when things get started. I'm not going to count, like, for now, I'm not going to count like the first, 4 years when they were draft Bernie, like when they were just getting started. Because after the convention, that's when they started getting a whole bunch of new people. But that's something also to remember. They've been around for many years already. I think that if MPP is going to succeed, they're going to have to need some serious restructuring with their leadership. who know what they're doing in the positions that they have, and they definitely need to be working with activists. And they have to respect if some activists don't want to be a part of their party, but they'll appreciate those. They'll appreciate, this party helping them out with their activism. Because eventually, if they gain that trust from the people in MPP, they'll be supportive of Movement for a People's Party. And I just wanted to throw that out there, Christian. I don't know about your thoughts, but I just want to let you know that I think that you're very brave. I think that you're a very honest person, and you care a lot about what you're doing.
I appreciate that. I will say that specifically, I don't want a father figure. I don't want a leader. Through horizontal structure, there is no leader. We all work together.
Right.
And I think that the biggest blow for me was that they kind of took out that in their website. I appreciated that they were becoming more, they understood that that was an issue, that they were not really selling that. And that is an issue that I continue to deal with. And so my way of handling it is ensuring our state is that way. I don't want to be in charge of anything. I want to continue to facilitate the conversations, help where I can, but not lead. It isn't my job to tell somebody else what to do. We all are in this together, and so I plead with people who are part of the petition group, as well as people who are just watching, that do not write off the activists. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of amazing people in this group, and the fire that this petition has created, it is a wildfire at this point. It is continuously burning and destroying the activists within this organization. And I really appreciate and understand the hurt and the anger that is coming from this, and I see that there is a productive way you guys are now going about it, and I respect that. I hope that in the end, and we will look past who is in charge or who isn't in charge at some point, who knows, that we look past that and we start just activist to activist talking, because we need you. We if you're going to be in a different party, the Progressive Party, the Libertarian Party, whatever you are going to be in, we still want to work with you. We want to be able to run races with you. We want to have a coalition, because this is how we make a movement. And if we continue to hurt each other, as we tend to do as leftists, this will continue to we will never get anywhere. And we have to figure out, you may have a personal issue, but this is bigger than us at this point. And we need to actually look past our own personal issues and start, working together again. I can't keep pushing that enough.
Yeah.
I really hope that can actually happen at some point.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify for everybody in the audience, even though I did say that there should be a leader and people in positions of leadership, that doesn't mean that these people in positions of leadership should be hero worshipped, or you shouldn't be blinded by them. Understand that they're still human and they're going to make mistakes. And the best thing that we can do is, if they're not doing their jobs, then if it truly is a people's party, if it truly is democratic, then the new leadership should be elected. But yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. Christian, I really appreciate you coming on. Jamin, also, I really appreciate you coming on. I know he had some connection issues and he fell off the call, but hey, we really appreciate you giving your voice. I look forward to possibly having you guys on again, if you guys would like, with some of the ex-volunteers. Hopefully amends could be made. But we'll see what happens going forward, if this story shall continue with the volunteers and the ex-volunteers coming together and discussing. I would be more than honored to have all you guys on. But yeah, I'll leave you guys with that. I'm gonna take a week off after Thursday. I've been feeling a bit burnt out, but I just need some time to recharge. There's been a lot going on recently Me consuming a lot of negative and sad news, you know, it puts a toll on me after a while. But thank you guys for watching. Kristen, again, thank you. And don't forget, people, to stay informed and stay conscious.
Thank you.